Welcome to our Monday Mastermind here in February. This is this year flying by already? I mean, I thought 2024 was fast, but this one's already moving. I can't believe it. And this weekend here in Atlanta was a beautiful spring day in February. So I think it's going to get colder again in a few weeks. But hey, we've had a great spring day here or weekend here to kind of enjoy it. But hey, we're now getting back to business on this Monday morning or afternoon for some of you. So on our Monday Mastermind. So we do our whygrowglobal.com site and our Monday Masterminds to help agents in the industry to sharpen their game. It doesn't matter what company you're with. We want to help you to up your game in the real estate industry. So we invite top level agents to come on board and share their secret sauce. So if you're interested in learning more about what we do and our upcoming events, go to whygrowglobal.com and you can see what's coming up in our next Monday Masterminds. You can also go to the bottom of the page and you can click on past Monday Mastermind recordings and hear them. We're sending people all the time to our past recordings because there's lots and lots of value there. But hey, let me get this thing kicked off because we got three strong players in the real estate market here, and we're going to be talking today about lead generation. We do this periodically because there's lots of ways to generate leads in the real estate industry, a lot of unique ways. Everybody's doing some same things over and over. Some people are doing new and innovative things, and we like to kind of share what's going on in the industry. So today we have three top players I'm going to share with you. We got Will Johnson out of Nashville, Tennessee, top team player in Nashville. I've known Will forever. We've got Kelly Jackson out of the DMV area, the Virginia area. And she's a top level player up there, and she's going to go over what's working for her in her market. And Daniel Hubbard from Indy, he's going to go over what's working for him in his market and how he's killing it up there. So let's kick it off with Will. I think you're going first. Is that correct?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, let's roll it on with Will.
All right, so I'm going to start off just to give a little bit of a broad overview, and then we're going to get hyper-focused. So there's four different quadrants of lead generation, and you've got to decide as an agent which quadrant that you want to be in. And I want to step back for just a second and say, listen, we are in an incredible environment of opportunity. When you look at the stats for last year, one of the worst years in 30, 35, 40 years, depending on what you're looking at. That is a lot of pent up energy, people ready to buy some houses, sell some houses, and the amount of upward trajectory that I see happening over the next several years is fantastic. So kudos to you guys, first of all, for getting on to learn from some top agents out there and to improve your career and take the most of that opportunity. So how are you going to spend your time? So there's four different quadrants of lead generation. So the first quadrant is high time, high cost. And I see a lot of agents, whether they're new or experienced, spending their time here. One of the biggest things in that quadrant is buying internet leads, right? You got an average of 1% conversion rate and high cost. I know and listen, I'm guilty, right? Like I've got a pond of like 7,500 internet leads. Some of those Zillow leads were $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 a piece. And so I've spent the high money and high amount of time trying to convert those leads. That business model works for some people. I had a couple ISAs. I had, the whole gambit. Not something that I recommend, but if you've got money and time to burn, spend some time there. I put another thing in that area. Just because it's high time, high cost doesn't mean it's not a good ROI, but something else that can be a little bit expensive and take up some time is seminars. Kelly and I just went to one recently. I know Dan's, coached as well by some great coaches out there. It does take some time and some money to be a part of those, but how much it can leap you forward can be quite a bit. The next category is high time, low cost. So this is probably geared more towards newer agents. So if you don't have a lot of money, but you've got some time, here's some things that fall into that category. Door knocking. You look at some of the top agents, Gary Keller, that's how he got started, it was door knocking and sold a whole lot of houses his very first year. For sale by owners, expired listings. Kelly, you know a little bit about expired listings. Um, if you have buyer's agents, if you're a buyer's agent on a team, right? So you're getting those leads that your team leader's buying for you. So you've got to take the time to call those leads, but it doesn't really cost you much of anything financially. TikTok, if you're making TikTok videos every day, or Facebook, not just making videos on Facebook, but Kim Campbell is brilliant at this. She does a great job of keeping up with people on Facebook, liking their posts and whatnot. Instagram, same thing. Desk duty at your broker's office. So if you're sitting there taking phone calls or people walking into the office, high time, low cost. LinkedIn, people spend time at networking events, or blogging. So if you don't have a lot of money, but you've got some time, you've got a wide variety of different areas that you can, spend some time on. And it's not really going to cost you a whole lot. Um, Low time, high cost. So if you're at a different era of your career where maybe you've got some money, but you're super busy and you don't have a lot of time, these are some areas that fall into that category. So billboard advertising, radio advertising, advertising in movie theaters, TV, sponsoring events. So that could be, kids' little league teams or some bigger events. I mean, one of the bigger sponsors here in the Nashville area, I mean, he's a sponsor for the Nashville Preds, Tennessee Titans, and so you see his stuff everywhere. Grocery carts, um, low time, high cost activity that would be in that area is if you're a team leader and you're buying leads for the agents on your team to work, right? So it doesn't cost you a lot of time, but it can cost you a lot of money. Um, Geographic farming, website SEO, print media, magazines. So none of those will take up a lot of time, but if you've got some money and you want to lead generate, those are areas that you can put some money into. So my favorite, and this is the area that I really try to stay focused on, is the low time and low cost. So what are these? And I'll tell you, I don't know why agents don't spend most of their time in the low time, low cost where your ROI is going to be the highest. So sphere of influence, past clients, doing open houses, email marketing, sign calls, speaking engagements, kind of like what we're doing today, webinars or training. So you could have a webinar that specializes for first-time home buyers or for, pre-foreclosures or whatever. But my favorite of all of these different areas is YouTube. So I am convinced that any of the speakers on this panel, and I think really any agent, if you're in a market of at least 100,000 people, within 12 months, if you're doing the right activities, you can be making at least $250,000 a year. I mean, I feel very confident. I would bet a lot of money that you could put, me in any, it could be in Iowa. I don't know anybody in Iowa. And you could put me in Des Moines, and my focus would be expired listings, right? Because you need something that would generate some cash fast, and YouTube. Um, so YouTube, how are you going to get going on YouTube? Why did I put YouTube in the low time, low cost versus the other areas of social media like Instagram, um, Facebook, TikTok? And here's why, for a couple of different reasons. One, I love that YouTube is connected to Google, right? People are searching for you instead of, you having to put material out there multiple times a day or interact with people multiple times a day. People are coming to you, you're the magnet versus you putting out content and having to put it out. I mean, how many people are, watching a TikTok video from, 4 years ago or 5 years ago? Like, you've got to continue. And listen, I mean, I know one of the Glenda Baker, right? She's out of the Atlanta area. She is the queen of TikTok, probably one of the top in the country, right? And there was a panel that was done recently. She was up there, and we had a couple YouTubers that were up there, and we had, somebody that was really good on Facebook and LinkedIn. We had somebody that was really good on YouTube. Now, the YouTuber wasn't even in the top 100 in the US, and Glenda is definitely top five. Some would say she's number one in the US. And the income level between the two, I mean, she didn't make a tenth of what the top YouTubers out there were making. And you're seeing YouTubers out there that are that within their first year are making seven figures, right? They'd never sold a house before, and within their first year, they're doing that. So, what do I like about YouTube as a form of lead generation? One, super low, right? Like you've got your iPhone, you can get a very inexpensive lapel mic for 20 bucks and you're up and running. You cannot know anything about a market. You cannot know anybody in a market, and you could pick, a neighborhood or a city to start to specialize in and become the expert in that area. And, Google will, if you're putting good content out there about whatever, I would encourage you to be more hyper focused. Like I'll give away what I'm doing. So I'm focusing on two different things, right? Like I've divided Nashville into 21 different areas. So people that are moving into the Nashville area, so I'm making a video and I'll talk about the school districts within that area of Nashville. I'm going to talk about the coffee shops, the restaurants, the type of, kind of vibe that's there. Is it a real artsy vibe? Is it a real creative vibe? Is it more of an upscale vibe? Is it more of a neighborhood vibe where there's larger yards that take place? I'll talk about price points. So people that are moving into the Nashville area, they'll have a website, they'll have YouTube videos to be able to watch on what different area of Nashville kind of fits them because they're moving to Nashville, but they don't know like, okay, do I want to be where the trendy restaurants are or the nice boutiques are, or do I want to be where there's, really affordable living within the Nashville area? So shooting a set of videos on that topic, and that's going to really bring in more buyers. So we all want listings. So what am I doing for listings? So I happen to work with a lot of investors, right? I mainly work with four different clients. You don't need, 100 different people to be able to make a really good income. If you've got four good clients that are doing a lot of business. So I really specialize more in working with investors and flips. So people are interested in that sort of thing, right? So I'm shooting videos on how do we choose which house to flip? Like how do we do the comps on the area? How do we, decide which ones are worth the money to flip? And then going in, taking video before they were ever renovated, after they've been demoed, and then going in every 2 weeks with the person that's flipping the property, interviewing them, getting inside their head of, why did they choose to knock down this wall, or why did they choose to, do this or that. So, and it's serving a couple purposes. It's helping to pre-sell some of these properties, these listings, before they ever hit the market. And people can look back at the video series to see what's behind the walls. They can see, hey, the electrician did a really good job, or the plumber did a really good job, or, they have more security in what they're purchasing because they got to watch the journey as it was going along. So, um, I just, in this day of marketing, and the third thing that I really like about YouTube, one more thing, is that you attract the people that like you, right? And some people are like, oh, I don't want to do YouTube because I've got more of a face for radio than television. Um, they're going to meet you anyways, right? Or you don't like your voice. Like your voice is going to sound the same anyways. And so, why not have people that, like, I've got a little bit of a goofy personality, right? Like I like to have fun, a little bit silly. I've definitely got some alpha in me, but I'm very kind of laid back, like to have fun. And I want people to contact me, to reach out to me that already like me and trust me, for the lead conversion piece. And so I don't know. I mean, I've been in real estate for 10 years and spent so much of my career on the outbound marketing, I'm interrupting people's day, calling them whether they're an internet lead or calling them whether they're expired listing or for sale by owner, and, just switching marketing to something more that's inbound marketing, people that already know me from the video. They like the content that I'm putting out, and I don't have to really sell myself as much. We are in such an age of real estate to where you can make a brand for yourself so incredibly quickly through social media. It doesn't have to be through YouTube. If you want to do it through, another format that you feel more comfortable with, but the ability to be able to do low time and low cost marketing is just incredible out there. So um, that's what I would encourage people to do with a little bit of experience and a whole lot of wasted money along the way, multiple seven figures that I'm trying to help other people avoid the same burn. And you know, I want people on this call to be successful. I want them to, you know, to have great careers, make a lot of money. And there's a lot of ways to do it, as we've seen. I mean, I listed off, I think, 25 different ways that you can make an income in real estate. None of them are right or wrong. Like you can pick something that you fall in love with. One of the agents here, I mean, he lives a couple of miles from me. He's, I think, the number 3 agent, 4 agent in all of Tennessee. And, you know, he makes his thing is expired listings. And he, you know, makes multiple seven figures a year doing that. Hey, he loves it, very good at it, and not knocking that at all. I think it's a great way to be able to, you know, to make money. We've got people that are doing the billboard, radio advertising. Rob Campbell trained this guy on how to be able to do, you know, real estate. So, and, you know, he makes a very, very good living, and nothing wrong with that either. So, but I think the biggest thing that I would encourage people to do is to find, you know, 1 or 2 areas, become hyper focused at becoming very good at that form of lead generation, and, you know, become a student. There's so much free stuff out there on, you know, YouTube or other types of formats to be able to teach you how to be able to do things. We've got these Grow Globals, which is phenomenal. I didn't have these when I started real estate. Did you have these, Rob, when you started real
Nope,
estate? Grow
not at
Global
all.
to teach you how to sell real estate. So,
It
uh,
was learned the hard way.
yes, yes,
And
experience.
usually that's expensive.
Yes, yes. Um, so that's what I've got. I mean, I can elaborate on any one of these. I've done pretty much all of them, but I want to also be respectful of the other speakers' time and take some notes myself. So,
And I'm sure we're going to have some questions later, so I can't wait to hear those. But you said something really really key is the reason we do these is to help people cut the learning curve and to
absolutely.
actually to find something that works for them and save money getting there instead of having to learn it the hard way. That's the main reason we're doing our Monday Masterminds. So let's switch over to Kelly Jackson and let's have her share what's working for her and her markets and how she's killing it in real estate.
Thank you, Rob. The biggest thing I've done this. I've moved to new markets and started over multiple times. In Chicago, we didn't know a soul. In Houston, we knew one person, that was our daughter. And moving to the DMV, we had no clients. So it really is. This is near and dear to my heart because the rate will never go hungry. And so even in each of those markets, what I did was I did a combination of things. Nobody knew me. So that means what? That means go out and host some open houses. If you don't have listings of your own, then host them for another agent. I'm with EXP, of course, and in Workplace, I could go in there on any given day of the week and say, I'm available to host an open house in DC, Maryland, or Virginia. In fact, we did this last year. At the end of the year, we held an open house at a brand new $2 million property. We ended up getting a buyer and seller from that open house on the $2 million property. This was a range that we don't usually dabble in. And here it was, we were able to get, it was packed full of people. And so there's always opportunities with open houses and the open house marketing that you do around it. You can combine so many other things, door knocking, calling around the neighbors, inviting the neighbors up, the thank you videos that go out, setting them up on an IDX search after they come through. Like there's an open house exposes, if someone just had that as their only lead gen source, they could be successful and make multiple six-figure incomes by doing open houses. We did one on a Tuesday last week between 4 and 5:30, a commuter, and people walked through the door at that hour was nonstop. We couldn't even make our video because people kept coming. So you really have to start thinking outside the box of what will work and not assuming that things won't work that you've never tried. So I would definitely start with some open houses. That way you start to get some people that you can nurture and talk to and follow up with. Also, I am big on the phones. Some people may want a door knock. I prefer the phones because I can reach more people in a shorter amount of time than I could walking, even though that's good exercise. So being on the phones and following up. So I call for sell by owners, expires. I've done that throughout my entire career and been successful with it. But I don't just stop at that. Every property that I sell is leveraged, meaning everyone's going to know about it, whether it's on social media, it's the neighbors, it's on my website, it's on Google. Everyone needs to know about that sale because we need to leverage the business that we're doing, what we do have. And I would say the same is true for referrals. I've also done referral companies. And as we know, they're getting more and more expensive. Between 33% and 50% of your income is going to that referral company. So I caution people, if you are going to use that as a lead generation source, and when I say referral companies, I'm talking about the Op Cities, the Home Lights, the Ojos, all of those companies. If you're going to do that, getting a referral and closing it is one thing.
Uh-oh. I think we lost her.
I think just to kind of carry on with what
Yeah.
she was talking about is, I think the point she was going to is
Okay,
that
I'm back.
Okay, there you are.
Sorry, I'm talking about horrible timing.
That's
I'm in the
all right.
car headed to a listing appointment. But if you're going to do that, you really have to leverage those opportunities and host open house for
Hey,
buyer that you
Kelly, you're cutting in and
represented,
out.
calling the sellers to
Hey, Kelly, you're chopping.
let them know, hey, we just sold a property. And it's no longer good enough to send out just listed, just sold postcards. Tell your story. Can you hear me?
Yes, you were cutting in and out, but it sounds like you're back now. Hello? Oh, you're muted now. There we go. You're back on.
Talk about technical problems. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
If you're going to use referrals as a lead generation source, you really have to leverage opportunities from that. So meaning you need to let the neighbors know that you sold that property. And no longer are we sending out just listed, just sold. We're sending out postcards that tell the story. We listed this property. This is how long it took us to get the property on the market. We did professional photography. We did this, but really outlining that story. This.
You there? I think we lost her again. Yep, sure did. But she's having some good ideas on how to tweak your business.
Rob, do you want to wait?
Yeah,
Come back? Or you want me?
Hold on, is she coming back or are we gonna, let's see what we got.
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't expect all these technical difficulties.
That's okay. You're showing muted again. I was trying to see if you're back or not. I think we got a delay.
I'm not muted.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, okay, we can hear you now. There you go.
Yeah, so whenever we sell a property, we actually do that work and let people know what the process were, what did we do to get it sold, how many open houses we held, how many people attended, what it looked like on the portals, where was their house featured. And so it's more than just saying we just sold a property. We also print out the Zillow estimates for a house that sold. and we'll use that as a postcard. Zillow said their house was worth $500,000. We sold it for $550,000. That is a great strategy for getting other home sellers, because that's what we really focus on, is whose home can we sell and who are the home sellers in this area. And so that's been a great strategy for us to not only get a referral, but to actually leverage it to get more business.
And Kelly,
Also, yes.
one thing, I mean, I think what you're saying, I just want to make sure that that's not lost on everybody, because you going over that process, I think not only helps you to get more business, but in this age of commission compression, with you showing all of the things that you're doing that other people aren't doing to sell a house, and also selling it more than what Zillow may have said it would sell for, makes that conversation when you're talking about commission, I would say probably a whole lot easier, correct?
Correct. It makes it a whole lot easier, and there's no pushback on commission, because they actually see the value that we add, and we can show. Keith has his phone online. Let's hoping that works better. But I use sources like Marketplace on Facebook, and I can show people, hey, on this last house, I had 12,000 views or 12,000 clicks on your property. And so that's a great way that we can demonstrate exactly what's going on when we're selling a house. So it's important that we do that. Also, I can't say enough about getting reviews and testimonials when you sell a property, whether you're representing a buyer or a seller or someone that you just helped in some sort of real estate need. But having them make a testimonial video goes a lot further than what we can say about ourselves. And so asking for those reviews and making sure that and keep them somewhere where they're going to stay and you own them. Yep. So you may take them off of Google and have them on your website as well, because that's future business that you could be missing out on if you're not getting those reviews. And also we have to study the market. So we can't just sit along, and just guess what's going on in the market, because we mentioned expires, and for expireds, these people have already been burned. They've already had their house on the market. Usually the price is too high, and we know that, but that's not necessarily something that we lead into. So with expireds, we're going to actually first hear them and understand what happened, and also offer a solution. And so one of our emails that go out to, or one of our scripts, if you will, that we use on expireds is, hey, I took a look at your last listing, and there's about 10 things that we know that are important in getting a home sold in today's market. Your last listing had about 4 of them. Can I come over and talk about the other 6? And that has been so powerful in getting people to let us come through, because we want to face-to-face. We want to get face-to-face and belly-to-belly with people. And that's one way, because they're like curious, like, oh, what happened? And it could be the pictures. It could be the different marketing avenues that we take. It could be some tools, like we leverage eXp Luxury when we go to our luxury listings. So it could be any number of things that we talk to them about. The important thing is that we get in front of them and have the right conversation with them. And it's not always about price. It generally is. We usually tweak the price. But to get in the door, we talk about these other things, what we're going to do different. And then finally, the other thing we mentioned was our database. Our database, if people aren't using a CRM, they're really missing out. I am going to a listing appointment on Wednesday. She's been in our database for 4 years and kind of been shuffled around, and her house is going on the market. I've already pre-sold her because from so many conversations, and she's going on the market in March. And so we have to leverage our database and add value to it. And that could be the 4 touches. It could be inviting people to your client events. It could be inviting them to your seminars, whether they're seller seminars, buyer seminars, or just keeping in contact with people. We recently redid all of our drip campaigns, and these aren't canned drip campaigns. They're drip campaigns that affect people who are in the DC, Virginia, and Maryland area. It's talking about people with government jobs. It's talking about living close to the metro. These are things that would matter to someone. And we go to, askthepublic.com to find what questions are people asking. And then those are the questions we answer, both in our database, in our social media feeds, as well as in our videos that we're sending out to our database. So there's a number of ways to lead generate, but like I think Will said earlier, you've got to stick to something. And I would recommend no more than, if you're just starting out, it's 1 to 3 sources. And every quarter we'll add something else once we've demonstrated some proficiency in the last thing that we implemented. So a lot of times we get so many ideas and we want to implement them all, and that's ineffective. Instead, focus on those core disciplines and then add about once a quarter, add a new lead source, create your SOPs or your standard operating procedures around those, and then go on to the next thing, as long as you have your automations and so forth set up. So that's pretty much what we've done 3 times over, and it's been very effective for us.
Very cool. Lots of great information there. And a lot of tweaking of old school stuff in new ways. I love that. Great ideas. I'm taking tons of note today, guys. This is great. And I'm sure we're going to get some questions on you after Dan goes. So let's run over to Dan Hubbard. Hey Dan, let's get your take on what's working for you in lead generation.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to piggyback on what Will and Kelly all said, right? Because I think there's, the roadmap makes sense when you keep it easy, right? So the one thing that, I hear over and over again is the pillars of business. So what are your pillars of business that is going to work for you? And that's what you guys have to determine kind of on your own. So like for me, there's a lot of different lead generation avenues. And so like, I like to think, Jeb Blunt wrote a book called Fanatical Prospecting, and it's pretty much like prospect anything in your life, monetize your life. So for instance, I like, just like a quick story, I go to the gym every morning. I used to wear headphones. I didn't talk to anybody. Now what I do, I got in real estate. I took my headphones out and I prospect. I build relationships with anybody and everybody around me, right? I'm already working out. I'm already doing something I enjoy. Why not monetize that while I'm there? So that's kind of like just from a mindset that I have of what I call fanatical prospecting. But if we talk about just like lead generation sources in general, we've talked about, we have farming, we have open houses, Kelly mentioned, your database, your sphere of influence, social media, online leads, networking groups, door knocking, circle calling, expires for sale by owner. So these are all these different, lead generation sources. I like to go with 3 for myself, and that's online leads, that's open houses, and then that sphere of influence. And I think if you hone in on those 3 pillars of business and get really good at having the conversations around those 3 things, I mean, your business only can go up. So I liked what Kelly was talking about with her open house, strategy. One, that's something you can share with your listings when you're on your listing appointments of, hey, this is what I do that's different than other agents in our marketplace. And so like, how can you prospecting, right? Open houses are prospecting. So what I also do is I call around my open houses, right? So if I open houses on Saturday, that Thursday, I'm getting on the phones and I'm dialing 500 properties around, and the conversation goes like this. It goes, hey, I don't know if you saw this listing over at 123 Main Street. Hey, I told the seller that I would do everything I could to get their house sold. So I'm just curious, like, who do you know who's looking to move into the neighborhood? So that's question 1. Question 2 is, hey, I want to invite you over to our open house this Saturday, Sunday from 12 to 2. I'd love to have you, introduce yourself, come on through, see what your neighbors have done to their property. And then 3rd question is, hey, while I have you on the phone, what are your real estate goals? What are, do you have any questions about the market? So not only am I showing value to this prospect, right? This person who's the only reason why they're on my list is because there's an open house around, right? And so that conversation opens up. I'm prospecting the prospect, right? So I'm constantly trying new lead generations because, as Kelly and Will are talking about, real estate's a contact sport, right? We need to get belly to belly. We need to get in front of people. And I think from just like something I wanted to break down just from a lead generation, like the turnover time, right? So contact to contract. So farming takes about 9 to 15 months of turn time. Open house leads take about 3 to 4 months of turn time. Your sphere can take about 9 to 11 months. Social media, 2 to 9 months. Online, so it can go down that, and then you pick what you want to do from a lead generation perspective, right? Going into that, I've had a lot of questions of like, hey, open houses don't work. I keep on going to open houses because I just like open houses. But open houses don't work. Well, the question is, how are you doing your open house, right? Are you doing the door knocking? Are you calling around? Are you generating around that, that open house? But at the same time, it takes time. It takes about 5 open houses or 20 groups through to get one closed deal. Okay. And so if you got to think about it, you can't just do one open house and say, oh, it didn't work. I didn't get a lead from it, right? You have to do 5 or 20 groups through to get that. So you just have to stick to that lead generation source and get really, really good at doing that. There's something that I've always heard too, just from like converting leads, right? Contact to contract. And that's, there's 3 things we've always heard, right? People need to trust, like, and know you. And while that's fine, I actually kind of like to tweak, and what I've heard from my own coaching is people need to trust, they need to respect you, and they need to have rapport with you. Okay. And those 3 things I think are imperative to build a relationship with the leads that are coming into our system, however we're generating those leads, to then get, at the end of the day, to the closing table, right? I mean, that's why we're here. We're here to service people, help people, but also make money of getting people to the closing table. And so those 3 things from a lead generation perspective, so people will trust you if you do what you say you're going to do in the time that you say you're going to do it. Okay, that's how people will build trust with you. People will respect you, like Kelly talked about, knowing your market, right? I research the market constantly. I'm looking at solds, pendings, all of everything about the market, because I need to be the expert. I need to be the person who knows interest rates. What is the bond market doing, right? Like, is the bond market moving positive, negative? Like, what is that going to do with interest rates? I need to know all that information, because guess what? Now I'm the expert. Now that person has respect for me. And then the third thing, like I mentioned, is rapport. How can we build rapport with our leads after we've done lead generation? How can we build rapport with these people so that they trust us again and then want to work with us? And there's something called neuro-linguistic programming. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's just a way of building rapport as quick as possible. And some of those things that help is your physiology. So matching and mirroring, like I'm going to match and mirror someone's tone, their rate of speech. Are they doing this? Are they doing this? And then I'm going to kind of subtly mirror that person, because I can then build rapport. I'm the same as that person, and that person wants to work with me if we are in rapport and in congruency with each other. Other things you can do, is just, you could actually match their breathing. So if they want to talk slow, you talk slow, and then you breathe the same. Like, there's just little things that you can do when you're in that contact sport to build that rapport, so that those leads that you've done all this work in lead generation eventually turn into clients, right? Because we're trying to, at the end of the day, turn all this lead generation that we're doing into clients that we have. So for me, I've really focused on, like I said, online leads with Zillow. Our team does Zillow. You can do pay-per-click, pay per lead. There's a lot of different sources from an online lead perspective. And as Will was mentioning, yes, they could be high cost, right? But if you're on a team and there's some sort of incentive of paying for some of those leads to help out, I think that's that can be huge. As long as you're doing your open houses effectively and efficiently, you're going to get leads from it. And then your sphere, I call them sphere beers. I try to go on 2 sphere beers a week. And what that is just either coffee or beer, depending on what their vice is. But I try to get in front of my sphere belly to belly 2 times a week with 2 different people. Then you can have your newsletters, right? You're supposed to do 36 touches to your sphere a year. On Lockstep, we do different events. We have our client appreciation event. And guess what? That's a really easy call, right? Everybody's like, oh, I don't know what to say to my sphere. I don't want to just ask for business. No, like connect with that person, right? With your sphere, connect with them on a personal level first. Then you can move into, hey, you know what? Another friend of mine was actually asking me about the interest rates. And I was just curious, did you have any questions? Like, provide value to your sphere, and they will provide value and clients back to you as a referral source too. So, that's kind of what I've done, what I believe, and what I've been coached, and it's worked so far.
Sphere beers. That's the first time I've heard that term. That's pretty cool. I like that. So yeah, this is some great information from all 3 of you guys. And I'm sure some of you have questions. So if you have questions, raise your hand or just unmute your mics. Let's talk it through and have these guys answer those, because man, this is a lot of great information to help you tweak your business. And I love how people have different ways of growing their businesses. There's no one right or wrong way. Everybody can do it differently. And that's what's great about these, because different personalities fit with different modalities. So anybody have any questions?
There are some questions in the chat already, Rob.
Perfect. Let me go take a look here.
Yeah, a couple of my questions are there, so I can ask them if you want.
Go ahead and ask them.
Well, as long as Dan was just up. Dan, do you use a service for your newsletters, or how are you putting those together?
Yeah, so our team does a monthly newsletter. That's, obviously that's a benefit of being on a team, right? We have some of that marketing resource, but I actually pay for a monthly prescription to MailChimp. And so so on top of our our monthly newsletter, I also send a email to my personal sphere that's just coming from me like once a month as well. So they're getting hit twice each month. So that's 24 touches right there. I mean, if you think about 24 touches out of the 36 we're supposed to do with our sphere. So, and that email is typically, hey, it's a new restaurant in Indy, or hey, here's the mortgage rate. So I kind of try to switch it up of like, I don't always just want to give real estate, right? Because I want them to know that I'm a normal human being as well, right? It's not just real estate. It's, what's the best restaurant in town? So I try to do that as well.
Okay, and then, sorry, there's a phone ringing, but my mother-in-law is here and it's her phone. She's 92 and speaks Polish, so I can't tell her. Kelly, is there any way to provide us with a copy of that card that you do, that custom card you're just sold with all that information on there?
Yes, I do it in both a postcard as well as an email to people in my database that are in that area. So it outlines, the key milestones in the transaction.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to get those to Julie, we'll put them up on the whygrowglobal.com site so everybody can have access to it.
Okay, sure.
Awesome.
And hey, Laura, to add on to what they've talked about, something that's been a very high ROI, very low cost item for me. I mean, that takes maybe an hour and a half a month and brings in steadily 6 figures a year, is I send out a letter of the heart and a letter of success to my top 50 clients. I do that every month, and I've done that pretty regularly. So the letter of the heart is just what's going on with my family, with me personally. It could be something going on with the kids. It could be something to connect with them as a person. I'm very raw, very real, very transparent. It has nothing to do with real estate. The second letter I send out, and normally I send them out every 2 weeks. The second letter that I send out is a letter of success. So it could be maybe the success of an agent that's on the team, or it could be a new, thing that I could maybe talk about this, right? That I got to speak on Grow Global, or it could be and that combination, what it does is it's a nice little touch point that happens basically every 2 weeks. And it's just one page, simple, not a fancy format, not anything. So I print them out, I hand sign them, and then, I hand write the address on there. I don't. I mean, I have somebody that does it, but that my signature is my signature on there, but I print them off. But it takes up hardly any time. But it helps them know what's going on with my life. And then the second one, when they're going to give a referral to somebody, it gives them the firepower that they need. Like, this is why you need to use Will, is because, last month he sold, X number of homes and got recognized on this, or he got, a speaking thing on this, or he got whatever. It could be, any type of thing. There's, only so many agents in the country that sold this many homes, and he sold this many. So those letters, I mean, if I don't send them out, I get calls from those top 50. So they're not everybody in my sphere. There's not everybody in my database, but people that I would, like Dan talks about, the people he goes to have beer sphere, they're my beer sphere. They're people that I would want to go have a beer with, or go have a coffee with, people that I like hanging out with, and that send me referrals. So it's something that's worked incredibly well, consistently, 6 figures, multiple 6 figures a year, just from those 2 letters.
So you mailed those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Good.
Very nice. So I know last week we had a topic on AI and people using AI in their business. Do any of you guys use AI to lead generate?
I don't, from a lead generation perspective yet. I'll say yet. I always, I use, AI for like Instagram captions, do it just to leverage, AI to help me, so I don't have to spend time on it.
Do you use it to tweak what you're sending out for lead generation to make sure it's more effective?
Exactly.
So we use AI for our client follow-up. So we have YLOPO. So Raya is her name, and she does behavioral text. And so a lot of times she will conjure up people who are either looking at properties, they're checking their home value, some event triggers it. And one of the things, just to kind of piggyback on what was just said about sending out the letter from the heart, whenever we see something on social media, or we see someone went on a trip, or they had some sort of, maybe they retired, whatever it is, like taking it off social media and sending them a card in the mail is huge. Keith has gotten so many listings from sending bereavement cards. Instead of just saying, hey, I saw, you had a death in the family, sending a bereavement and a heartfelt card has gotten him business versus him just going and asking for the business that way. So be cognizant of what people are going through, and taking it sometimes off social and putting a stamp on it and handwriting that note goes a long way with people. They remember that.
Well, I think, like, for piggybacking on that too, is like with your sphere, with those people, like, know their life, right? So for instance, I just had, so he's an open house lead. We've kept in communication. He will be a 1.1 million sell and a 1.5 million buy at some point, hopefully this year. But I knew that he just had a baby. So what I did is a week later, I sent him a gift card to Starbucks. I said, hey, for all those sleepless nights, here's a little something for, so it's giving back, like everybody's talking about, and allowing them to know that you care. I think it goes a long way for that, just for referrals down the road too.
Tell me how we made that video and then got the script and put it in the AI.
And one of the things we've been doing, we'll take our video that we make, we put it into, well, Keith, you could talk, you're right here.
We put it in the script, so I'll get the script from the video, and I took the script from the video, I put it in the Chat GPT and told them, give me an email around this content that's catchy, eye-pleasing. And so then I'll take that from Chat GPT, make an email template, and have a link to the video, and I'll send that through the database. So I repurpose the video and use it in the database, and I have Chat GPT give me the email and all the graphics to go with it and attach it. So I repurpose it and use it through the database.
Very cool. Will, you were going to say something.
Well, I was more of a question for Kelly and for Dan. So you guys have brought up open houses and how that's such a great form of lead generation. Was wondering if y'all could maybe give some of your best, tips or pointers. I know for us, like our team normally does open houses. The very first weekend is kind of a launch. We'll do a Saturday, Sunday open house. Well, normally, like when people walk in, because we're kind of auditioning to list houses too, right? Like we're showing them what a good job we can do to list homes. We don't know who's coming in, whether it's a buyer, a neighbor, who it is. So we normally take them through the three best areas of the house that are the selling points to kind of get their buying temperature up. So if it's a lake house, like we may take them straight to the back deck and, talk about, hey, can you imagine ducks landing on here and, the memories back here? Or if it's the kitchen island or if it's the master bedroom or wherever it is, we'll take them to the three areas and then let them wander around from there to kind of get their buying temperature up. But like, what do you guys do two separate open houses? Do you do one for neighbors only open house, maybe from 12 to 1, and then you have, everybody else, the regular open house, come from 2 to 4? Do you guys have any type of software that you use? Maybe an iPad for them to sign in and then it goes directly into your CRM? Do y'all have a schedule when you follow up with people? Is it always on Monday from open houses or two? Like, what's kind of some of y'all's tricks that you've learned along the way to really maximize those open houses?
So we invite them to a neighbor only usually the first half hour or an hour. So we've cut down the times of our open house so that we can condense people into a shorter period of time. And that seems to be working like a charm. So our open houses are down to an hour and a half. And that first half hour will be for the neighbors only. Also, we do not walk with them through the house, believe it or not. If it's a 2-story, Keith is on the main level, I'm upstairs, or some combination of that. We'll have a conversation at the beginning. We'll let them kind of peruse on their own, unless there's something like a pool, which we don't have a lot of pools. So we'll kind of let them especially if it's vacant, kind of walk on their own. Also, we do a video right from the house, a thank you video that goes out to them immediately after the open house. So that video text goes directly to them. We also use QR codes. So the QR code leads them right into our database once they register, or if they don't have their phone with them or something like that, we'll put it in there so that it goes right into our CRM. And we also have a note on the door advising them that they're going to be asked to sign in, because it's something about them seeing that they actually do it. And it says, about wearing booties or whatever it is that goes with that. And then usually that Monday we do, and our first step, we re-thank them again for coming to the open house. We actually send out our resume as one of the steps of our open house follow-up campaign. And then we proceed to, see if we can add value to them until they're ready. That may be setting them up on a search. If they asked a question that we didn't have the answer to at the open house, we're answering it in that follow-up. So, and that'll go, they buy or block us.
Hey, Marcy was asking where you guys get the open house phone numbers to call for the open house. Where do you get the phone numbers in the area to call for the open house?
So Remine is through the ML, like through the BLC that we have. So it's it's something that's given through our MLS service that you can literally, draw a square around, you can populate it to a CSV, and then it gives you property owner information, name, address, phone, and then you either put it into your dialer if you have a dialer, or you hand dial it. That's how I do it.
And there's companies out there like Vulcan, so almost any expired listing company, will give you the option of an add-on to where, you can put in an area and they'll give you the phone numbers as well. Sometimes they're not always the most accurate White Pages obviously is another, way to be able to do it. There's multiple companies out there.
Yeah, RedX is a little bit more cost effective.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
The RedX.
RedX. Okay. So there's RedX and Vulcan, and there's another one out there I heard of. What's the other one?
There's Mojo. There's My Plus Leads. There's Espresso Agent.
Which one's the most effective for expires, withdrawals, and things like that?
I use My Plus Leads.
My Plus Leads?
Mm-hmm.
No, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, the data was just a little bit more accurate for us.
Perfect. Hey, this is a lot of great content. Anybody else have any questions? Let me see if I haven't missed any in the thing here. Love Remind. Somebody's using Remind. That's awesome. Anybody else have any questions?
Yes, this is Ken Collins.
Hey.
For Kelly or for Dan, where do you guys, you say you post your reviews? I'm with EXP too, as you may know. I signed up. I did the free version of Rate My Agent. I had traditionally, before I came to EXP, always posted my reviews on Zillow. Is there another platform that either of you use to post your reviews or request reviews from?
I use Google.
I would recommend a your Google business page too, like creating a Google business page just from people are going to research your name and you need a Google business page so that that comes up, and that's where I request reviews through that or through Zillow as well. And then, something that I haven't put into play quite yet, but I want to use is there's something called like it's a Springs. It's like almost like an iPad that you can give to your listings as like a pre-listing packet, and you can put reviews, you can put video testimonials from past clients in there so that these clients are seeing these reviews and this testimonial, third-party testimonial before you even get in the door. I mean, you're going to get the listing already just because no one else is doing it too. So there's different things like that you can utilize as well.
Yeah, and coincidentally, next Monday Mastermind, we have Tony Williams and Anthony Reddington that's going to do how to build your business with Google reviews and Google My Business. So we're going to have a special talk next week specifically on that because it's really important. We did that about a year ago, and it was a big talk. So we're going to do it again next Monday. So any last minute questions before we sign off? Perfect. So guys, thank you so much. This has been I took 5-6 pages of notes myself on all the great content that you guys provided. This is going to be up in our website, whygrowglobal.com, in the next day or so, that you can go back and rewatch if you missed some of it, or if you have some agents that you want to hear this information, you can send them the link. So, and then tune in next Monday. Bring guests. You can bring any agent you want. Bring guests. Have them listen in to our Google reviews and Google My Business training on how to grow your business with that. So, hey, thanks a lot for coming on board. We're happy to have another great, successful Monday Mastermind, and we will see you guys next week.
Rob, I'm sorry, before you sign off, I've signed on to whygrowglobal.com. And I'm looking for the past recordings.
Yep.
And then
go down to the bottom and look for YouTube channel, and it's on our YouTube channel.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
All right, perfect. I'm glad we found this. I'm sure somebody else had a question like that too. Hey, thanks guys. Take care. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye.